something we all need. Gotta have it now if you wanna succeed. Striving, surviving, that's no doubt. Sticking together, we gon' find a way out. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all. To all you young people, give it your all.
Good evening, the back community. Thank you, as always, for staying involved. Thank you for staying engaged. Tonight, we're going to be going into the tech space, and I know everybody's always excited to hear about tech. You know, tech is the new black. Tech is whatever is the acronym that we're going to be using at this time. But this man is a legend in his own right in the tech space. He's a legend in his own right for his age and what he's doing as a philanthropist. Not to mention, he's also my fraternity brother. 111119.
Oh, six.
Yeah, you know. So, without further ado, man, I had to formally set you up for that B. But today's guest on the back community is no other than Bernard Smith Jr., MBA. We thought that he was actually going to be in Dallas, but due to circumstances, he's actually out in Jamaica right now. So we're recording with you guys live from Jamaica. So B, I just want to say thank you for being on the back community. I can't wait to dive into your story.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Wagwan.
Wagwan, nanagwan. Let me see,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I try to give everybody their proper introduction, but as I like to say, nobody can introduce you how you can introduce you. So my first official question for you that I ask on the back community is, Bernard Smith, please tell everyone else out there about you. You know, I know that you're a cloud solution engineer with Microsoft, but I want to give you your chance to formally introduce yourself to the back community.
Yes. Once again, everybody, thank you so much, Tyrell, for having me on here. It's a pleasure. It's an honor for me to just come on here and talk about me, man, and share my story with the world. And this is going to be great. And once again, everybody, my name is Bernard Smith Jr. I grew up I'm from Fort Pierce, Florida, actually. Born in West Palm Beach, Florida. Born of two Jamaican parents, and I got 8 sisters. I'm the only boy. And just like Tyrell, like yourself, you have a story about beating the odds. I believe, my parents, when they came from, Jamaica, that they was doing the same thing, right? They was beating the odds, right? When they had me here in the States, we didn't have much, right? Either, because they just came from Jamaica. Anybody know that it's from a different land, or a different country, coming over to the States is a huge deal, of course, but it's hard because you got to fight for visas and things like that. You don't have the best jobs, and so I wouldn't say we grew up poor, but we grew up humble, right? We knew that we didn't have as much as maybe another child, but we knew we didn't have less either, right? We had enough to keep us going each and every day. So I grew up without a TV, a computer. I remember growing up in an underrepresented community in Fort Pierce, Florida. Didn't really have it didn't have a lot of hope, pretty much. A lot of my friends were, kids, they say, that will end up being dead or in jail. And I was actually told that too, from a teacher I can remember in elementary, that I'll be dead or in jail because I hung with these folks in my neighborhood, right? And we, I partake in the same things that they did. And but I didn't know that I was a leader, right? At the time, I was more of a follower. But I knew, like, in school, I had some type of, smarts, right? I would say I had a natural ability in math. I was natural of getting like the class to kind of be rowdy or say stuff, right? And that was like, back in the day, or they probably still call it class clown, but I didn't know that being, that was like leadership too, as well. That was built inside of that. And so I remember, the teachers just saying, like, hey, man, you got a lot of talent, you got a lot of skills, but like you hang with the wrong people, right? And because of that, you don't study, you don't read books, you don't do after school activities that are going to actually develop you. And if you continue to go down this route, you may end up just like, folks, that are in jail, that are, dead, unfortunately. And so I remember, a teacher telling me that. I remember my friends, not doing the right things. And I remember, like, my pops is really just being hard on me, at a young age about, being a leader, right? And, being better, right, than him, right, as you always say. And I just took that on. I took that on as I left school, and got to John C. Smith University, where when my first day that I walked into that university, um, Carnegie Hall, actually, the ladies in there handed me a laptop. Right, anybody go to John C. Smith University, I know they still do it. They hand you a laptop. And remind y'all, remember, I didn't grow up with a laptop, and grow up with a computer. I didn't have nobody come back to the school and say, "Hey, one day you can be in computer science. You can be a computer engineer." Nobody was coming back to tell us nothing like that. Most people were just doing whatever just to get by, in the community. But nobody really went off to college and left the neighborhood. I was one of the people that had opportunity to do that. And I remember people at John C. Smith University, the community there, really pouring into a young brother like myself, and they pour into everybody, right? I would say, that attend that university. And the lady told me in Carnegie Hall, I want you to do something with this laptop, right? Like, make sure you like get the most out of us giving you this free, item to use, pretty much. And I told her, like, yeah, like, that y'all gave me a free laptop. I'm gonna figure out like how I could be successful, right? Because you handed me this laptop. And so I fast forward going into class, right? And a student in that class, everybody got to take these, freshman select classes that are like around like learning like Microsoft Office, pretty much stuff, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, stuff like that. Just learn how to use Microsoft Office suite. And I remember a student in the class, was tinkering with like a robotics in that class. And I remember just asking. I always had deductive reasoning skills, they say, right? Where I could see somebody doing great in the class or see somebody doing something that I'm like, okay, let me go talk to this person. Like, oh, you know how to fix this? Oh, you know how to do this? I always had that in me growing up in the hood, right? Like, I kind of knew, okay, I know if you was doing bad stuff, if I asked you something about being bad stuff, you could tell me. If you was doing good stuff, you could tell me. You was getting money, I could go to you, talk to you how to get some money. So the same thing applied, just street smarts, right? Just, oh, this person here is building robotics. He's messing with robotics in the class. He's on his computer doing coding. So I'm like, hey, what is that? Like, what are you doing? Like, can I learn? Right? Just kind of joking with him a little bit. He was like, sure, you could learn. I'm gonna be in the library. I'm thinking, oh, he ain't serious, but he was serious. Like, yeah, he was in the library. I met him in the library, and he told me about like what he was doing called Charlotte's Web, pretty much. And Charlotte's Web was, I believe, Dr. Carter's son, Dr. Carter's son, was leading Charlotte's Web at the time. His adopted son, I believe. Yeah. And he had the kids from West Charlotte High School come to John C. Smith University at an after-school program, and he taught them coding, computer science, computer engineering. They didn't have them doing like activities together, like basketball or whatever we did, to kind of like let down the steam. But these are students that were less fortunate too, as well. Maybe they didn't have a bus fare, because he bused them from West Charlotte and then bused them home. So they didn't have like bus fares. They didn't have maybe a father figure in the home, or grew with a lot of siblings like myself. Didn't have much in the homes, and it really just had no hope either, right? And so I joined that program because I saw the students were just like myself. But I ended up going to college, of course. But I was like, hey, this is a way for me to give back. So that's where it started, was Charlotte's Web. It started, seeing those students from high school, less fortunate, coming to John C. Smith University. Gotcha. And that was my way of getting into philanthropy, I would say, as well as computer science and computer engineering. Because of Charlotte's Web and because of the student in that freshman class was the reason why I believe I'm still, doing what I'm doing today. That sparked everything else.
Okay, listen, man. It also made me just think about, well, one, I learned very quickly why you're so passionate about giving, but you have to explain to me, because when I heard your story, it was just like, well, man, so to grow up without technology and to be such a tech head, you know, how was it falling in love with technology? Because you're in a lot of tech spaces, from gaming to coding, as you mentioned. But how was it making the transition to not having technology to getting one of those HBCU ThinkPads from Johnson C. Smith?
Man, I thought that was the greatest gift, ever. Like, never could have imagined that I would get a laptop ever. Like, you always ask mom for, tech stuff, right? And family
Mm,
didn't have a lot of funds back in the day to get you anything like that because other things were more important than keeping a roof over your head, keeping clothes
yep,
on your back, food to eat at the day. It was so
yep,
you didn't you could ask for too much, right?
yep.
Yeah, that's what you was gonna get. And but just walking on campus, man, and getting that laptop, man, I think it really it hit my heart, man. It was like, man, I gotta make right. This is like an investment. It felt like somebody invested in me, bro. Like
Facts,
it really
facts.
felt like who invested in me. And I was like, I gotta get a return off this investment because I knew student loans are coming too as well.
Mm,
And I was like, hey, I need to be the smartest I can be academically too as
mm,
well with this laptop. And I need to major in something that's gonna pay off my student loans.
nice.
To ensure mama was good too as well. Why it wasn't
Mm,
worried because like I gotta get 4.0s every semester so
yep.
I get academic scholarships and get internships. So I get a little money in my pocket. And so I
Mm,
would say that that laptop, man, really was like, a catalyst, right? For things to come, right? For
okay.
sure.
Yeah, I remember going to Smith and getting the IBM ThinkPad, right? One of the guys, and I mentioned him in my book, my man Callie, but he went to school with the young lady. Her dad was the person who actually signed off on that IBM ThinkPad contract. So it was just like you go to college and they give you a computer, you get a laptop. It was everything. And I think my freshman year that was when that whole big R. Kelly scandal came out, and everybody was learning how to infrared and
Yeah.
shoot stuff to each other. But it was just like I got my own computer, so I can
Right.
definitely relate to the excitement that you had. But okay, okay. So growing up in Florida, making the transition to Charlotte, I failed to mention to other people. I know I mentioned Alpha Phi Alpha earlier, but we also have Johnson C. Smith in common. But you laid the foundation for what comes next. In regards to you being a cloud solution engineer, but how has it been now as an adult in the tech space, still carrying on that legacy of opening up the doors for other people to know more about the opportunities.
Man, that right there, what you said is I'm driven by gratitude.
Mm,
And I remember that like I wouldn't be here today without somebody lifting me up or helping me or supporting me. And I always said that, from a school, from a community that invested so much in me, I wanted to make a return on that investment and I wanted to pay it forward. I wanted to, give back, right? As anywhere I could. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Of course, when I left school, I was like, hey, the frat, helped me a lot too as well mentally, thinking about what, how I should lead, how I should be as a man too as well. The school, the community supported me and uplifted any dream that I could have had on the campus, and now even outside the campus too as
mm,
well. And when I left school, man, I was like, man, I want to figure out a way. I didn't know how fast it was going to come at all, right? Because
yeah.
I didn't graduate school with a job. A lot of people probably thought I did. I actually didn't leave Smith with an opportunity, and so it was a grind too as well. But I was like, man, when I get into a space where I have resources, right? That was the main thing.
Mm,
When I get an opportunity, I have resources. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that the community that I was raised in, and also the school that I went to, and the people around me, of course, felt like, hey, with the resource I have, I'm gonna give that back, and help somebody else be here or better, right,
mm,
than I am going forward. So it's all about paying it forward because I understand the struggle. I understand, not having a lot. I understand opportunities. I understand inspiration. I understand hope. I understand that God has also, placed me in that position, so that I can, give back and pay it forward. And that's because of gratitude.
okay, okay. Listen, man, you are saying words that resonate with me greatly, from gratitude to God to paying it forward, right?
Mm.
And it's something that because if I recall right, you're just running up on 30, right? So in today's world, you know, a lot of people don't take time as much as we should, to remember gratitude, right? To remember how much other people poured into us. And that's one of the things that I love about watching you, right? You're always traveling, you're always involved, but I see you interacting and having so much fun with every audience that you go to, right? And it feels like it's that passion, it's that love that pours out whenever you're in these communities. But being in the tech world, everyone knows and loves Microsoft. So shout out to Microsoft, for helping to give you an additional platform outside of what was already in your heart, right? But giving you an additional platform to bring tech and the environment, the space of it to communities and areas that could truly benefit from us because everyone's pushing tech and saying tech, and I think it's a great industry that you can get into if you have the patience to understand it. Everyone's not going to be into coding, but I think that that is one of the greatest areas and spaces that, as a culture, everyone is pushing towards because we see the benefits of it now. When you realize that, that having that skill set is very important. It's very important. So shout out to you. Shout out to what you're doing over there at Microsoft. With that. But I'm going to ask you a few questions because every person that I bring on the back community, I like to dive more into how you became the character that you are. I
Mhm.
think I have a pretty good idea of it, but um, when you were coming up, making a transition in Fort Pierce,
Mhm.
did you have a mentor or someone that you would look up to as a mentor at that time?
My dad, that was the main thing.
Yeah.
The main person, right? My father, because he was the one that instilled me to be a leader, not never a follower. And but as a young boy, it's kind of tough to kind of, I guess, live in it. And when you're
Yeah.
young, right? When you get older, you understand. It's not that I'm older. I'll probably tell a different story than when I was younger. But he was training me the whole time, but I was
Mm,
hard headed, right? I didn't understand because I was a young boy. I felt like I was already a man, right?
mm.
At 13, 14, I felt
Yep.
like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, right? And that got me in trouble, right?
Mm,
And he had to continue to remind me, how to be, right? How to be a
mm.
leader, because I was making dumb mistakes because I thought I knew more than him, right? At
Facts.
a young age, right? And most young boys may go through that, and it's time you hit puberty, you start thinking you that man,
Smelling
right?
yourself. Smelling
Yeah,
yourself is what they say.
you're right. So I kind of went through that phase, for about a good 5 years, man, of just smelling myself. And but everything that told me, I remember now, and it's helping me
Mm,
lead who I am today. But I would say my dad always been my mentor and my coach. I didn't really have a lot of people outside of him, and, other family members, of course, my uncles
mm,
as well. I had an older cousin that I looked up to, that was doing great, doing amazing.
mm.
But at the time, like I said, I didn't believe in mentors and coaches really at the time. But now that you say it now, he was my
Yep.
mentor. He was my coach, my family, my uncles who was trying to tell me to stay out of trouble, tell
Yep.
me to, make sure you're reading your books, tell me to stay in the house and not stop being out so late.
Mm,
They was my mentors and my coaches, but I just felt like I wanted to be the bad boy. I wanted to be outside. I wanted to hang and do things that could have, and help, pretty much got me in jail. Right. And I'm glad that life never went down that route. But I would say that I had mentors,
okay.
Tara, but I didn't really know because I was smelling myself, and I didn't care what you said to me because I didn't listen anyway.
Gotcha. And it's something that I got a chance to live out firsthand. It's just like running my mentoring program for 9 years. I realized that, we could come in as young men working with young men because I work with 12 to 18-year-olds, right?
Mm,
And it was just like I can come in and say the same exact thing that your dad is saying, but you would gravitate towards me because I'm a person outside of your home, right?
mm,
Rather than when your dad says it. It's a dynamic I still cannot understand to this day, but it's just the
yeah.
truth. And it's just like, we end up, taking heed to the things that other people say because they're not our immediate family, and we know that they don't owe that to us. So when we see that in other people, we just like, man, thank you, man, that was dope. Thank you for doing that. But like you said, we be having the people around us that be putting us up on game too, and saying, hey, hey, that's bad character. Don't trust that person. Or, Shorty
Hmm.
might lead you the wrong way. Don't go that way, right? But we be
Yeah.
having it, but sometimes we overlook it. And I think like where I'm at now at 40, I just focus in on trying to give people better eyes, as I like to say it, than what I had at that age. And to say, hey, well, you know what, that one looks good right now, but is it going to look good in 10 years? It might not
Right.
look good in 10 years, right? And it's just like we end up, especially when you come from survival mode, right? We don't know how to think long term, right? So you think about the immediate successes that you can have, or, do I got lights at home and stuff like that? You got those types of immediate concerns that take precedence. But when you start to look long term and just like, okay, well, you know what, like you said, in your case, what your dad is saying to you is spot on. What your uncles were saying to you is spot on. And it's up to us to have better eyes and be trained to be able to see it. Like where I was at 14 is nowhere where my son is at 14 right now. I look at him all of the time and I'd be like, boy, when I was 14, I was involved. I thought just like you, I was grown. You couldn't. I still had a good head on my shoulders, but my experiences at that point, it was just like I thought that I was grown. I was doing all of the grown stuff, but I definitely wasn't. And this generation of young adults, their level of exposure, most of them come
Yeah.
in households that your parents drive you from point A to point B to point C to point D. We had to get around by ourselves. We had to make a way where there wasn't a way. So now that we can be the way. So
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that, man. That's what you just said, man. And like you were saying too, like technology has changed, a lot, right? With social media, the students, the kids are
yeah,
having different experiences now, because of that. And I honestly say that a lot of the social media is now raising a lot of our kids, today,
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the things that it never ceases to amaze me, but I can't imagine that this generation will sit in front of a TV or on their phone and watch videos of other people gaming or whatever. I was
Day in
just
the
like,
life.
man, I thought I was like, what are you guys doing? You guys want to sit here and watch other people play games? But I know. One, gaming is a thriving industry where a lot of people have monetized it as sport.
Yep.
And that was one of the things that, one put you on my radar outside of meeting you in person. But, you helped to create a gaming scholarship, if I'm not mistaken, an esports, e-gaming scholarship at
Oh yeah.
Johnson C. Smith, man. So tell me what is the hype around gaming and how do people make money off of it? Please tell me, educate me, my brother.
Yeah, yeah, man. So help the first, right? I would say the first HBCU esports and gaming program, right, is at John C. Smith University. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. And it has scholarships. It has a curriculum too as well, a minor. It has a game development club. And also the competitive side of it is they play Call of Duty versus each other, NBA 2K. So it's a trifecta, pretty
Mm,
much. So it has everything, and right there in our new science hall, amazing, amazing. I see a lot of feedback from it almost every week now. Right,
mm,
somebody new was walking through that building, going into that space, and really having a great time. Students from all over the world. Even when I was at a UNCF conference, somebody was talking about it, like, "Hey, I took my students there," and I was like, "Wow, that's amazing! Like, it's just a small world."
mm.
That really helped put, even John C. Smith on the map a little bit too, because
Absolutely.
that program exists there, right? And that started, Tyrell, because of me. I was just wanting to have an Xbox, right, or a PlayStation, growing up. And all I knew about technology actually was PlayStation or Xbox. But my dad was one of those folks, go outside, throw that football, play that basketball. run track, just be outside in general, right? Just go outside. Don't come in the house. Like, don't be, they call it they call it the Tommy toy, right? The older generation call it the Tommy toy, right?
Mm.
You can't be caught dead on the Tommy toy. And any part of the day, you need to be outside raking the yard or cutting grass. Like, couldn't be caught on it unless it was nighttime and it's time to go to sleep. That's the only time you was probably allowed to be inside playing the video game. Um, but so I grew up in that culture still, right? And it kind of shifted a little bit as the 2000s came. But I was still in that culture where you had to be outside. Nobody was really inside. You had Xbox, PlayStation. You probably thought you was rich.
Mm.
And so I just wanted to have one. And so that's what the idea when I got with Microsoft, and Microsoft, Xbox is a part of the company too as well. And I saw an opportunity, Tyra, pretty much, and I took it, right. I saw opportunity to give back in a major way to help with the strategy, the initiative of it. And I was just honored that they, saw me at Microsoft and reached out to me, about like, helping, create something amazing and that's going to exist for a very long time. And so the hype around it really is that, and now the Microsoft, our president of Xbox is a Black woman now, actually. Yeah.
I just seen that. Yep. Congratulations to her. I did see that on my LinkedIn. Yep.
Yeah, and so man, she's amazing. She's going to change gaming going forward, the future, the innovation of it. And I believe, man, the hype really is that a lot of kids are playing video games, but they don't know that they can develop skill sets from it, right? They don't know that they could actually make money off it, right? And so I believe the hype around it now is that there's streaming, there's competitiveness with it, all that's helping you, helping your school, helping yourself, bring yourself exposure, to get a scholarship, to get into college now, especially doing it at a young age. And it's all helping you grow, right? As a person and that loves a passion or has a passion, for gaming. So there's a lot of hype behind it because of that. And gaming has always been a huge thing. I think it just wasn't accessible as much in the household, but I think now every kid nowadays I feel like has a PlayStation, an Xbox, a game, some type of Game Boy type thing, or just on their phones playing games, right? And so they done make gaming so universal that I feel like everybody can tap in some way through an app, through a controller, through any way, right? And so I think there's a lot of hype behind it because of that, and we see that the esports and gaming community is just growing such a large rate and a fast pace too as well. That there's so many people playing some type of game system each and every day in the world. So I believe that's the hype around it. And I believe companies that are for sponsoring gaming or companies that create, the PlayStation, the Xboxes, and the Nintendos, they're seeing that too, which is growing, the opportunities in that space as well.
Okay. Yeah, and it's I think like you said, tech the access to it because it was few and far in between when I was younger who had a PlayStation, what was it, Sega Saturn or Jaguar, whatever type of systems that came out, Nintendo 64, right? It was few and far in between, right? But I don't think anyone could have ever imagined. It's probably like the same thing with hip hop music, right? I don't think anyone could have ever really imagined the the boom or how much it was going to explode. Gaming is a part of everything from to you have hip hop incorporated into all of the games. My oldest is Call of Duty. My middle two are Fortnite, right?
Yep.
So it's just like the access has grown, right? More communities, more households have access to it. That's a great point, right? Because everyone didn't have it when I was growing up, when you were growing up, and it was just like if you had that one friend that had a PlayStation, be like, yo, we can go up over here, go play this at their house or whatever. But now it is with things like the internet, gaming is everywhere. You can, like you said, on your phone, on your parents' phone, you got access to it, and it's a lot more accessible than it used to be. Good point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I said, yo, how did it happen? But Because it was, and it's not like they're cheap because they're still expensive.
No, they're
I
very
went,
expensive. They're more
listen,
expensive now than
yes,
before.
yeah. So how is it like, everywhere? I got a couple friends who sell sneakers, right? And
Yeah,
they do these giveaways, right? They're giving away Xboxes and stuff like that. I'd be like, listen, I know how much money I paid to get this Nintendo Switch for my 7-year-old, and it was just like by the time I got the memory cards and the controllers and the games,
right.
it was just like I walked out of there with a $700 bill that night, right? So it'd
Exactly.
be like, so yes, it's accessible, but it's still expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah, it's very expensive. And like you said,
Skins on Fortnite?
where
Who
you said
pays
Fortnite,
for
Call of
clothes?
Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty adopted that too as well,
Mm,
with the skins and stuff, and Superman, superhero packs, and you can play as your favorite rapper, your favorite artist, pretty much now, and
wow.
it's crazy, and they call them microtransactions, right? And that's what's keeping the game community going because kids are, hey, hitting the parents up, hey, can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? It's pouring money back into the gaming
Mm,
industry, right? It's pouring money because now you look up your $5 a week, it'll turn into $1,000, in a month potentially, right?
facts.
Depending on what you get in your child, or in a year span, you don't spend $1,000 just on one game,
Yep.
right? When you look back, so I think there's a lot of money being poured into it. And they're bringing a lot of hype around it with the artists and with these big time
Mm,
content creators as well, and it makes somebody want to pick up a Game Boy, Nintendo, or play Fortnite now because the kids are on the internet and they see other kids playing it, and now they want the same thing those kids have and have the access those kids have access to. Because before, like you said, and you had to know somebody to really know
yes.
if they had a PlayStation. They had to invite you over, right? They had to, and they mama or they dad had to agree to
Yep.
unless you snuck over or something like that during the day. But other than that, you wasn't just going over somebody's house to play the PlayStation, right? And but
Yeah.
now,
And
like
I
you
didn't
said,
have the desire. I wanted to go outside. Everything was outside. The girls was
yeah,
outside. Your friends
yeah,
was outside. The
yeah,
trouble was outside.
yeah,
I wanted to be outside. And I think that's also a huge shift in the younger generation, right? Where they say that a lot of like, and I'm gonna use Johnson C. Smith admissions as an example, right? Because
mhm,
I help out with a lot of the college fairs here in the DMV area.
mhm,
So when they come, it's just like oftentimes it'll be like parents trying to speak up for their kids, right? And
mhm,
I'll be like, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, sir. I actually want to hear from the young woman or the young man, and I do it specifically because a lot of those soft skills on communication, I think we're losing because our engagement is more so now with technology than it is with actual people, right? And I think that there's a lot of positives to gaming, technology,
yeah,
social media platforms, but I also think that it's still nothing will ever no free call, no Skype, no anything will ever, be greater than that regular human bond or connection. Be like, you know what, yo, I miss Bernard, man. Let me call my man B. Yo, B, what's going on with you, man? You know what I mean? And be like, so though technology is here to stay, it's not going anywhere. I also think that we have to continue to weave in ways for us to not lose those basic forms of communication, eye contact, right? Some people will not look you in your face at
oh
all.
yeah,
They think, you know what I mean? So, that's
yeah.
that's
So
my only fear.
yeah, man, and that is a fear, and that's valid. And like as you mentioned, I'll be hearing that through the community now, right? Because of technology, not only at Johnson Smith, but like you said, everywhere.
Yep.
It's happening everywhere. The students that are being, walking this earth now, right? The ones that are going to college, they're lacking those soft skills, right? The public
Yep.
speaking, working in the team, like they're like closed off. They don't open up and things like that. They're kind of balling things in too as well,
Mm.
and they have no expression, pretty much, right? And so that is definitely hurting as well. And I haven't figured out how do we kind of, because we got artificial intelligence, which is going to be another
Woo!
evolution that is going to continue to evolve the world. because now it's like, man, things are right there, write it out for you or create
Yep.
something for you. You know, you don't have to even have as much hands on anymore with anything going forward. And so that's going to be even scarier as that grows, as well as like, how do we continue to ensure that we lock in on our babies, right? On our
Yep.
children, to make sure that they, understand like, hey, human first, then robot, then technology, right?
Mm.
And so we got to make sure that they understand the difference too as well, because sometimes their life will then get caught up in that technology world or virtual reality world
Yep.
or artificial world, that they tend to forget, the people that are hugging them physically every day, and speaking life into them, and things like that, because they might be listening to the radio now or music, and it's downloading so much in their brains, and the way they act and the way they speak,
Mm.
and what they
Yeah.
think about, that it also can have its negative effect for sure. Like, and I don't know if
Yeah.
it's just in America, but I know, if you go to another continent in the world, if you go on they TikTok, right,
Yep.
everything is educational, right?
Mm.
Things that are pouring into them about maybe being smarter at math and reading comprehension things and tips and tricks.
Mm.
You open up our TikTok in the U.S., this is what I'm noticing. There's a lot more drama, and who did this, who said that, and
Mm.
it's like,
Mm.
man, like, can't that's gonna hurt our
Mm.
generation. And because technology has a access to your child, you don't
Yep.
know what it's saying, you don't know what they watching at any moment. So we have, as parents, right,
Yep.
or adults, where we gotta make sure that when we give them these iPads, we give them this technology that we're putting safetyness on these devices,
Yep.
too as well, from what they're watching and what
Mm.
games they can play, and just to ensure that they're only looking at a structured type of content, and
Yep.
not I would say the darkness of the world as well, on top of what they're doing on the tablet or iPad or computer.
Okay. Okay. I have to say this one point, so like I'm a music head, right? I love music, right? I grew up listening to music since I was in as small as I can remember, right? And my mom always allowed me to listen to it, right? So she would allow me to listen to the music with the cussing. This is an argument that we have over here in the Hughes household all the time. So me and my wife have this debate. Be like, I allow my kids to listen to music that have cuss words, right? And even like with gaming, right? Or watching some stuff on YouTube, like we'll have conversations because I want them to be exposed to it here, right? Rather than not being exposed to it and not prepared for it in the world and just be like, oh, that's a bad word or that's this. It was like, no. So we listen, we talk about it, we watch stuff. And I also try to realize that part of my job as the adult is preparing them for what they're going to see because I'm not going to always be there, right? So, but I want you to be able to be prepared and say, hey, well, you know what? My dad already told me about that, right? And just like, okay, well, yeah, what you just said was a bad word. Just like, well, you shouldn't be saying that, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, but imagine, like, because I think in a lot of ways, our parents um, didn't always include us in the explanation behind why we couldn't do certain
Okay.
things. It was just, don't do it, right? So
Yeah.
now I just think that with the more access that we have, the more of our generation doing things like therapy and realizing that we could have benefited from our parents speaking to us a little bit more openly. I think more of us now are more emotionally intelligent is the term they're using now, and trying
Yeah.
to help our kids that way. But we're gonna mess them up too. We're gonna screw our kids up just in a whole nother way. Not the same way our parents did us. We're just gonna screw them up in a whole nother way.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think what you said is important, right? I see both sides of it now that because as soon as you said, I was like, okay, that does make sense, right? You want to, because you can't prepare the road for the
Mm.
child, right? You got to prepare the child for the road, and so that's what I'm taking from this conversation is that you want to train your child for adversity. The people that are going to maybe steer them wrong.
Mm.
They need to see both sides, right? They need to see the good and the bad, right? And they
Yeah.
need to understand both too as well, so that when they do, run into that roadblock or that person that said, "Hey, come this way," they like, oh, they remember like, oh, left means this and
Yeah.
right means that. and they understand east, west, north, south, and no matter where they're at, if you put them in
Yeah.
Jamaica, right, they still know north versus going south or going
Yeah.
from east to west. So it doesn't matter, where you place them, because you have prepared them in your household,
Facts.
right? And I always say that too, Terrell, is that when I talk to, because I know I talk to a lot of students, like high school, middle school, elementary. I do a lot of speaking for students, and I always say, it starts in the household. Always
Facts.
starts in the household, for sure, right? It starts in the household. Those behaviors, a lot of stuff, are learned, right, as well. And so you want to do as much as you can, and not everybody, of course, is going to, grasp, everything, but you want to do as much as you can. It takes effort, right? It
Yep.
takes effort, and a lot of folks may not have that because we're all still trying to work, right? We're all still trying to grind, trying to make
Yep.
money. And so we may come home and not put that explanation, not put those standards, not uphold those standards of what the last name means in your house, right? When I was growing up, my father was like, hey, your last name was this. This is what a Smith was, this, and that. And, some of those things, right, to this day, I hold on to, as well. And so I think we just got to put a little more energy
Yep.
into that household upbringing, and I think that makes it safe for you to have that music playing in your household, and them learning from their mistakes and things like that. But it takes energy and effort on the parent side, as a child.
Okay. Listen, man, I'm going to hit you with what's called rapid fire. So it's going to be a 60, 90-second round real fast, asking you some random questions. Don't worry, nothing that's going to get you in any trouble. But I've learned, like I said, as I've gotten older, that the more professional we get, sometimes we forget to just exhibit like the coolness or the uniqueness of who we are. So long story short, this session is called, it's a 60-second round of rapid fire. So I cannot respond. I'm going to ask you some random questions. It's going to help me to get a chance to know B a little bit better. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. First question is, what is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Summer. Okay. If you had to choose your favorite shoe or sneaker, what would it be?
Jordan 11s, Concords.
Ooh wee. All right. If there was a cheat meal that always was a pick me upper for you, like when B's having a bad day where this server cannot upload and it's not working, and I'm trying to figure it out all day, but you need a good meal to pick you up. What's your cheat meal? What's your cheat snack that you go to?
As a snack or like a meal?
Either which one. What's your favorite? Where you
For a
going to?
meal, hey, I'm going, curry goat, rice, and peas.
Nice. Let me see, man. If you had the choice, money not an issue. If you had the choice to live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Mm. Jamaica, man.
Ah! Okay.
And because, man, what I've been learning since I've been here for about a week now, is that they live so simple, right? They live with less, right? And the things that we care about in the States, they don't really care about. I don't know if it's the weather, the greenery, the sun. I don't know what it is, but I feel like more people are at peace out here.
Okay. I love it. All right. Well, thank you for indulging me in rapid fire. I told you I won't get you in no trouble. Uh, Let me see, man. This next question is probably my favorite question in all four seasons. I love to ask all of my guests this question. Bernard, B, if you could think about it, because everyone has their own definition. If you were to define success, what does success mean for you?
Success means for me, um, lighting another candle.
Mm.
Lighting another candle. A wise man told me I was at John C. Smith University. I was Mr. JCSU. He was like, young man, whatever energy you got, keep that energy. And I still remember to this day, I was just walking out the library, and I think students walking past, when I was Mister, I was shaking somebody's hand, telling who I am, right, and just really just having that energy. And some older guy, I don't know if he even went to the school. He called me up. He was like, "Young man, don't ever lose that energy, that spirit you got. Don't ever lose that." And I believe it's about lighting another candle. I believe, if you can make somebody's day, whether you light them up, whether it's financially, wellness, health, or just saying hello, how you doing, it lights a candle in them. And so I believe as long as I continue to light more candles, the flame will never go away.
Gotcha. And if you were to inspire, or if you were to advocate for the tech space, right? Because obviously everyone wants to get their kids into coding. Everyone wants the salaries that come along with being in the tech space. Because a lot of people advertise you don't have to have a particular degree to get certification and all of these things. What
Yeah.
is something that you would tell others who are interested in getting in the tech space? Like as a starter, where would you tell them to start at if they were looking to get into the tech industry?
Yeah, I would say it starts in your mind first.
Mm,
Always have a growth mindset and be a continuous learner. I feel like the people that are in these spaces, they are open to learning every day, no matter what it is, because you can always learn something new. And in the tech space, you're going to definitely always be learning. And I would say that if you could have one skill set, or two, is to keep a growth mindset, which means fail forward, and then
mm,
don't look at obstacles as setbacks. Look at it as a challenge to come back again and win. Um,
mm.
and also always be a continuous learner, that you're learning from those failed attempts, right? And I would say that you want to start there, because once you start there, you can learn anything, and that it doesn't matter if it's tech, science, anything that
I
you
like
want to
that.
do in the world. Have that learn it all mindset, and that will get you into the tech space, because you're going to be curious about learning
Mm,
anything and everything about tech on YouTube, on Coursera, on Udemy, on listen to this interview.
mm,
You're going to be always tapping in to
mm.
things that are going to be feeding you, information.
I love it. I love it. And a lot of times we go externally rather than going inward, right? And realizing, like you said, it starts with you having that growth mindset, having that continuous yearning for learning. So I like that. I like that. So that leads me to a great follow up. I got two more questions for you, and I'm letting you go. But uh, it sets me up for this, like because I love people who motivate me. I get energized based upon the other things that I see other people doing in the in their own space, and at the same time, what I'm doing ends up motivating other people. But when I have people on the back community, I love to see what it is that motivates you. So if I can ask, are there any particular books that you're reading, podcasts that you're listening to, things that you tap into that you go to get motivation? If so, put us on, bro.
Yeah, I just read a book called The Go Giver, man. And that book, talks about the different, you know, um, I think it's by Bob Berg, actually. The Go Giver by Bob Berg is a red book. And it talks about the power of giving. And um, he talks about how he was giving, even if he had a lot or didn't have any at all. And it don't have to be financially. It could be your time. It could be, like I said, it could be a phone call, uplifting to somebody up. And he talked about how that came full circle. And I feel like my life applied to a lot of those principles and things that he lived by, of how he was a go-giver, in all facets of his life. So that's the book that I'll give to you. I just read it, actually.
Okay.
And then Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas got me out of
Ooh, ET.
my E.T. the hip hop preacher. E.T., you watching this, man, you may be, man, you got me out of my darkest days, growing up, man, that you gotta want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. That speech, man, it really helped me out of high school, going to John C. Smith University, and then even now. So he has Success podcast
Yeah.
that I listen to as well. and they always dropping gems in there about life, about financial, about wellness, and just keeping me motivated, right? Keeping me inspired about not quitting, about taking care of my family, and then doing it the right way. You know, that's the main thing. Keeping a good spirit about anything that I touch, anything that I do, keeping a good spirit about it, and staying positive. And look for those gate openers, right? And not so much those gatekeepers. I don't listen to the people that tell me no. You know, I try to look for somebody that's going to tell me yes, for us to accomplish, you know, things that we want to accomplish, which is to, you know, have impact in the world.
Okay. Okay. All right. Shout out to ET. You Owe Me was dope. I love that. I didn't read that book. I listened to the audio on that one. I used to get out in the mornings and go walk, and it took me a couple days listening to that on my walks to get to it. So shout out to ET. Definitely motivational. And
And
my
shameless plug, man. Your book, Tyrell. You know, reading your book too, as well.
mm,
Somebody that I can look, feel, and touch. You know, man, your
mm,
book is inspiring as well, man. And I seen a lot, you know, of those things, right? They're just following you on Facebook, the things that you post, LinkedIn, you know, the things that you kind of put out there in the world for us to, you know, to listen to read. Man, your book inspired me too as well. And that's when I know we got back when we was on this call. You know, I was telling you about just a kid from Harbor Hill, right? Hopefully I'm saying
yep.
that right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep. Arbel. Yep.
Harbor Hill, and to read about your inspiring story, because I could relate to you as we started this call. And I was telling you, I was going down that path,
Yep.
right? I know I didn't go deep into what happened, but I was in those trenches, man. I was doing some knucklehead stuff, bro. And to see life kind of come back this way, and hopefully I continue to stay positive, stay in a good health and good mindset going forward too. 'Cause I still got a long way to go, but to read your book about, you know, your life coming full circle and how you're
Mm,
going forward, you know, that's inspiring and motivating me too. Because you somebody I can call every day and be like, hey man, I read in your book, man, this happened. Like, how did you
mm,
overcome that?
mm.
And how did you navigate, you know, and as a man today in the 40s,
Mm.
man? So I appreciate that.
Oh, listen, man, I am extremely excited for that. Hold on. Let me see. Let him come in. I am extremely excited for that, and I'm gonna tell you and show you why. Right. One, because not too many people. Babe, you can let him come in. Okay. Not too many people are able to. Let me help. All right, but have a good night. Say good night to B. Good night. Good night.
All right,
All
my
right.
guy.
Close the door back. Close the door. So balance, right? You end up surviving enough and living through enough to realize how important it is to find balance, right? I tell people that I end up telling my story because there's not too many people that end up being able to go through what I've gone through and come out healthy somewhat, right? And do it in a way that, you can inspire others. Like when I tell everybody I work for the federal government, if you read my book and you read about all of the the uh, the involvement I was involved in, you'd be like, well, how do you end up here? Or how do you end up, getting rid of all of this debt? And now I teach financial literacy, right? And I help other people to realize things that you know we didn't have access to. Wasn't no one talking about financial literacy? Wasn't no one talking about therapy? Wasn't nobody leaving a blueprint of how to still authentically be yourself, but to grow, right? You know what I mean? You can evolve or you can die, as my man Jeezy would say. So,
Yep.
but thank you for that.
Always, brother. Salute.
Yeah, yeah. And my final question for you for the night is thinking about everything that you have accomplished thus far on your years on Earth. B, I have to ask you, what is the what is the one thing that you are most proud of?
Hmm. Man, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Just being around and it could be the moment, but just thinking about life, right? I just recently lost my grandfather, and man, I'm really just thankful that I'm here and I could, and smile, hug, and feel my family, energy, and that they are proud of me. And for the things that they see me go through, to here now doing some really cool things in the community, and we say big up, right? And a lot of my family is from Jamaica, and they big me up, man, and so I'm most proud of that. My grandma in the room over here, and we just having family time, drinking soup and laughing about stories, and I'm most proud, man, that I get to continue to be around, my family, and that I'm here today, too, as well. So I'm really just grateful, really just it's all about gratitude for me, man, and I think humility is a huge thing for me too, as well, because I'm appreciative of the little things. The little things are the biggest things to me, and being able to talk to my grandmother, and you have my mom here, my sisters, cousins, and aunties in this house right now is amazing, bro. I couldn't ask for a better feeling to be around and love on one another. So to me, man, that's the main thing I'm most proud of, is being here today and having life, and say I love you to my family.
I love it. I love it. And again, my condolences to you and your family. But um, I'm thankful that you've been able to share your time with us today on the Back Community. I said, man, you're all the way over in Jamaica. But I'm also happy that when you end this virtual call, you'll be able to be in a space of love, and gain inspiration from your grandfather's life, and just how to just enjoy it. Like you said, people are he said, "Bro, they ain't worried about none of that stuff we worrying about over there in the States, man. They worried
Right.
about enjoying each other." So, salute to you on everything that you've accomplished thus far. Bernard Smith Jr., I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're doing amazing work. I have no doubt that what you do next will be even bigger, but I will leave you with this and say, whatever you do next, don't lose you, right? Because sometimes we end up getting involved in everyone else's expectations of us, and you've set such a high bar for yourself and for others already, B. Don't get caught up in that. Keep getting caught up in exactly what you're doing right now. Like you said, right outside of that door that you're in is your family, and you're going to get off of this call and be able to go out and walk into what life is supposed to be about. So embrace it, continue to move forward, continue to give back, and continue to be an inspiration. But thank you for affording me your time on the Back Community, B. I couldn't wait to get you on.
Thank you so much. Much love, brother. We'll talk soon. Thank you for having me on
Always.
the podcast, man. And I look forward to just watching this, seeing the reactions, and I look forward to more, opportunities for us to engage with each other, man. And look forward to seeing you later on this year as
All
well.
right, man. I'll play catch
Yes,
up with you later, man. Have a good one, man.
yes, sir. Blessings.
Later.
Respect.
06.
06.
Keep climbing up the ladder. A Black Lives Matter. They matter. Matter. So all you young people, give it all. 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 Matter, matter. A Black Lives Matter. They matter, they matter. A Black Lives Matter.